Welcome. We're asking the question today, are tracker boats, are they good boats? You see them at Bass Pro Shop all the time. You may wonder if they're good boats. If you're new to the channel, I am Captain Matt, the author of the book, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, available at Amazon, really anywhere books are sold, and host of the channel. And we're going to answer the question, are tracker boats good boats? Let's start with the history of tracker, just so you're aware. Founded in 1978 by Johnny Morris, rolled into the White River Marine Group, which is Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, Tracker. They own several boat brands: Nitro, Mako, Ranger, Triton, Tahoe, Regency, Sun Tracker, Hatteras now, kind of the one outlier. And the aluminum trackers, they're built in Springfield, Missouri. Now they're publicly traded as White River, WRIV. And Johnny Morris is still heavily involved as the CEO and the one who kind of started it all. They're sold at Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, and they also have some independent tracker dealers. We'll talk about how that comes into play a little bit down the line. So let's look at the different boats. They've got several models. They've got the modified V's, they've got the deep V's, they've got the John boats, all the way to a 10-footer up to a 19-foot tournament edition in the deep V's. If you look at pricing, hey, $1,200 to $53,000 on the Grizzly John boat. Excuse me. No, what's going on? Classic Pro V, that modified V from 16.6 up to 32.9, $33,000. Boat motor trailers, how they package them all. If it's got a motor on it and needs a trailer. On the deep V's, 16.6 to 46.6. Again, boat motor trailer on all of those, the Super Guide, the Pro Guide, the Targa, it's a boat that's built by White River, the largest builder of boats by unit. So when you add up all those brands that I gave you, they build more units than anybody else. Remember, they got a 10-foot John boat in that mix as well. So that skews the number some, but that also means that they've got a lot of scale. They buy a lot of aluminum. They buy a lot of Mercury motors, because not only do they sell the motors on the back of the boats, they also sell loose engines at Bass Pro and Cabela's. So all of that goes into making Tracker what it is, a very mass-produced boat, but with that scale, they can do things a little bit different and cheaper than other manufacturers. Now, are they good boats? That's what we're here to answer. The answer is they're good for the right people. Are they the best boats? Not even close. There's premium and mid-tier boats, and Tracker's more of the entry-level value boat. But if you look at the aluminum, this is the gauge aluminum. Almost everybody's using the 5052 alloy, including Tracker. So the 0.08 thickness up to the 0.125 on their largest boats, which means they're using about the same aluminum on comparable models, the thickness, and they're using the same alloy, that 5052, and they're welding. They're welding just like a lot of the manufacturers do. I've got a video that talks about riveted versus welded and which is best. So we're not going to talk about that here. You can check that out. Now, when we go to the actual construction of the boat, we talk about their welds. They're not manual, they're robotic. So they're a lot more consistent. They put in the dimensions of the boat, and that the robot just knows where to weld the boats. Everything's as automated as you can be in the boat building industry. It's not like the car industry where everything's automated or most of it's automated. Still a very manual process. We talked about them buying materials at volume: aluminum, motors, upholstery, electronics, all that stuff, not only for their boat brands, but also for all their stores. And so they're getting as competitive of a rate as you can get on that stuff. And they're also built to a price point. If you notice, all of the prices were $995, $595, and they built them for that boat to that price point. The really only option you can do is upgrade the motor to something larger. That's just how they do it, to make it real simple, especially for first-time boaters that get a little bit overwhelmed. They do tend to have a smaller footprint. So if you look at the 19-footer, When you look at the LOA, the length of the boat, and the beam, the width of the boat, or the depth of the boat, the freeboard that it has, they typically are slightly smaller. They're building to a price point. They're building to hit that value customer and to fit their budget. And so they'll cut a little bit of material here, a little bit of material there, a little bit of material here. And so it's a 19-foot boat, but it's a little bit smaller overall when you start really comparing. Does that make it bad? Absolutely not, as long as it suits your needs. Cheaper and less material. Now, the aluminum we talked about, same alloy everybody is using. But when you start looking at the upholstery, when you start looking at the electronics, it may have a hummingbird on it, I think is who they use. But it's going to be the scaled down version. It's not going to be as big a screen. It's not going to be the latest and greatest with all of the spot lock and all of that. If it's a trolling motor, it's going to be scaled down to maybe the mid tier or maybe the entry level tier on that size that's right for it. They'll put the smallest motor that they can do and still feel good about it on the boat, and that's where they start. Typically, my recommendation is probably upgrade to get the performance. If you're going to put any weight on these boats at all, probably want to upgrade to the next motor level up, and that's where you should be. And they use a cheaper trailer. They're notoriously bad, especially in saltwater. They're painted trailers, which means they're just not built for the saltwater environment. And they have a history of rusting out. So you got to really take care of it. Make sure that you're doing your maintenance on it and keep an eye on it if you go with one of those trailers, and just do not dunk it in salt water ever. No, if you're going to do that, you got to upgrade trailers. You got to get a different trailer from a different provider, because those trailers just aren't right. Now, they're more affordable and they're more boat for the money. Now, remember, when I say more boat, it's not necessarily a bigger boat, but a 19-footer compared to a 19-footer, it may be scaled back in the beam. Maybe it's not 19.3, it's only 18.10, right? So they do some of those things. And typically, the Bass Pro and the Cabela's, they don't offer much dealer support, training. Their service technicians aren't the best in the industry typically. Each store is different, but because of the way they run their operation, is they're trying to keep that price down, they're paying their salespeople a salary, so they have a less of a pushy environment, but that's going to bring you somebody with typically less knowledge and experience. Their service shops, they don't pay them as much as they would if you were to go to, let's say a Cobalt dealer or a Lund dealer. They're going to pay their techs a little bit more, so they tend to get better technicians, a lot more turnover than you would see at a regular dealership. What does that mean overall? Does it make the boat bad? No, not at all. It's a good, safe boat, but it's not the best boat. And that's, I try to get that across to people all the time, that it depends on what you're going to be happy with and how you're going to use the boat. If you're going to use it 10 times a year, do you need that rock solid boat that could go off a waterfall and come out the other side okay? Probably not necessary. So this might be a great way to get into boating, have the warranty, but just know what you're not getting and know what's not there. Because of that training and support differentiator, I built our best boat captain on the water programs. We got version for outboards, for stern drives, for pontoons, for twin engines. We've got them for all the 9 building blocks to total boat control, the docking mastery. So if you do buy a boat from Tracker and you don't get that support and you're nervous about running it, check those out at Best Boat Captain. We got a ton of 5-star reviews. It's an awesome program. I don't want to brag, but it's an awesome program, and it will help you. Money back guarantee, no questions asked. So check that out. And also, if you're buying a boat, grab our toolkit. It's the Boat Buyer Toolkit. You can get it free if you go to boatbuyertoolkit.com. You can get it free there. 40 pages, checklist, questions to ask, especially if you're a first-time boater. Super valuable articles, all sorts of stuff in here that's going to be helpful in your boat ownership journey. If you found this helpful, give us a thumbs up. If you own a Tracker, tell us the year and the model and tell us your thoughts. We like this, we didn't like that. Give us some details. This can be a source of information for other boaters. If you found this valuable, give it a thumbs up. And remember, life truly is better on a boat.